are so bright. Pull your hat down, make sure your cinch is tight. Horse is kinda snuffy, cold chill up your spine. You'll get your ass moving some with burning daylight.
Howdy there, I'm Matt McKinley and we're burning daylight.
In the saddle till the job's done right.
Welcome to Burnin' Daylight, the only podcast for the working cowboy. Well, howdy there, daylight burners. Gotta tell you, I've been in a little bit of a creative funk here lately, and I could do just fine talking to people, interviewing, bullshitting. But I've had a little bit of struggle with the solo stuff here lately, and I'm still working on the meat packing series, but it's a lot of reading and a lot of books that I can't listen to during the day on audiobook. Gotta actually read, and well, there's there can sometimes be a struggle getting the time to do that. But anyway, the main reason is the world has just kind of become a really strange and kind of dangerous and somewhat, I suppose, just scary place. And I've been a little bit worried on a bunch of issues going on around the world, the country, and everything. And I think there's a lot of stuff that we should pay attention to, regardless of what your political persuasion is. Just from my experience of the world and my understanding. And there's a lot of stuff that I think it gets really glossed over. At the same time, I have a lot of hope for the future, despite of the current events that make the world such a fucking goddamn gloomy place. But so I don't want to get too much. I don't want to be a political commentator. I like the show that I do with my buddies, and I like talking politics here and there. But I don't want that to consume my life. I cowboy for a living, and I really enjoy talking to cowhands, and I enjoy talking to interesting people. I don't plan on straying away from them, but there's times when schedules don't, and it's kind of tough for me to put together an hour episode on the fly, say when somebody backs out or you just get a little bit of writer's block. So I started this show kind of rambling the horseback, and I'm going to do a little bit of the same with this series. I'm going to call it Stray Thoughts. And I want to kind of combine some of the important things that I think we're missing or not paying enough attention to in the world of news and politics, but also kind of couple that with something that's good in life. I think there's a lot of doom and gloom, and I think there's a lot of reasons for that. And I think, like I said, I think it's important to pay attention to that type of shit, so you don't get blindsided. And I don't know how much we can do to change anything, but it's better to know something than not, I think. And but also there's this way of life that we all love, the cowboy stuff, the ranching stuff, the Western American way of life, and there's just certain things that you get and live in this world that you don't living in the city. So I think I'm gonna kind of compare some things that I've been thinking in the news and whatnot, and then end it with a little bright spot, something that happened or whatnot, a story I got that kind of encapsulates this rural Western agriculture, ranching, and most importantly, cowboy part of life that I get to enjoy. So, start off with, there's a whole lot of awful shit going on in the world, but we're a year and a half away from the next presidential elections, and the last two have been a shit show beyond anything I've seen in my lifetime. And granted, it's not super long, but it ain't all that short. I'm a lot closer to 40 than I am 30, and the last two presidential elections have been just a clusterfuck of epic proportions. And we're shaping up to, well, if the powers that be kind of have their way, we're shaping up to be another Trump versus Biden election. And I don't pay a whole lot of attention to polls, but polls are kind of what you go on, that and your gut, when it comes to politics. And the polls are showing that a majority of Americans don't want either candidate to win. Or not even to win, but to run. There's like 45% of Republicans that don't want Donald Trump to run again. And I think over a majority, I think it's somewhere closer to like 2/3 of Democrats don't want Joe Biden to run. That being said, they're both running, and they are both the clear front runner, and they're both refusing to debate any of their opponents. Now, Trump has a solid majority, 55 to 60%, I think, in the Republican polls, and I don't know what the exact numbers are for Biden, but it's probably 55, 60%, somewhere in there. And I believe Ron DeSantis is polling around 20, 25% on the Republican side, and then RFK Jr. is polling around 20 to 23. I think I saw him as high as 23% on the Democrat side, which is a pretty sizable number. I know to be able to get on the stage at the presidential debates, you have to have like 15% in the polling to even qualify. Plus, I think when it comes to the party, you have to have so much fundraising, whatever, because it always comes down to fucking money, always. But I have a real hard time with the two clear front runners that aren't particularly well liked by a pretty good swath of the country, and pretty good chunks of their own party would rather they not run. And now, I mean, they're the powers that be and your corporate media types are just trying to usher in this rematch, the part 2, Trump Biden, the dose. This time it's personal. And the two candidates refusing to debate any of their opponents, and I'm not so sure it should have come down to Trump and Biden in the general election. I'm not so sure that they both would just bow out of debating each other too. And so you have two geriatric old fucks just yelling at each other from different places in the country, and never, sitting down and hashing out ideas and giving, not that, I don't know. They say the debates don't really sway anybody's opinion, and I think that's probably right for the most part. But still, we're supposed to be a constitutional republic, democratically elected representatives. Um, we elect people to represent our interests at the federal level. And part of the time-honored issue is you face your opponent and you lay out your ideas, you defend them, and you tear down their positions. It's kind of how we've always thought we were supposed to do things around here. And now you've got the two clear front runners with very, very credible opponents are just going to say, no, we're not going to do that debate. And I know why. They don't want to be pushed back on. They're going to use the old, it's a biased audience, a biased moderators, whatever. Or if on the Democratic side, they're going to say this guy is such a nightmare. I refuse to share the stage with him, blah, 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 blah. And when it comes down to it, they're both a bunch of pussies, and they won't. They don't want to spew their bullshit unless it's in front of their crowd. And that part just rubs me the wrong way. And I don't know if there is a good choice for president. I think we're stuck with the lesser of however many evils we're going to have this time. Maybe the Libertarians will put up a good candidate, but I'm not confident. RFK Jr. sounds okay, but he's also kind of kind of an environmental extremist. Seems like he's trying to temper some of that down, and I liked a lot of what he had to say, but still, I'm not sold by any means. And either way, I'd like to see some of these people on the same stage together, defending their ideas and breaking down their opponent's ideas and going through the old democratic process. And it seems like we're just being funneled towards it being another Trump-Biden remix. And we're not really given much of a say in the matter, which honestly has kind of been the way it's been for quite some time. But now we're here for the sequel of the two oldest, weirdest, kind of shitty candidates that the country's put together. And well, at least the most blatantly retarded candidates that we've been able to put together in quite some time, and we're just just hitting that remix one more time. Seems fucking dumb. Anyways, I'd be interested to see what everybody else's thoughts on that matter is, or if you've been paying attention. And if you haven't been paying attention, you should listen to us on Fence Post Politics every week. I think we're going to start doing that live on Wednesday night. So if you're a Patreon member, you can join in on the live stream. Otherwise, it'll be. I think I'm going to start publishing that on the main feed on Friday. And it looks like we got Rob on for another week, and Rob's hilarious. And we also get a more liberal point of view, and I think you'll enjoy it, and you'll get some laughs. But we kind of keep you informed on the news on this show. So if you don't get your news anywhere else, I mean, I don't see how we're much worse than most of the main characters. So we're just a lot more funny and entertaining. Anyway, enough on the news and politics and that type of side of things. But I had a pretty funny story happened to me yesterday. So Mondays is one of my day off, and we homeschool our kids. They go to kind of a co-op type deal 2 days a week, but Mondays they're with me and we do schoolwork. And we went on a field trip with their homeschool group here to a fish hatchery. Pretty cool little trip. I enjoyed learning a little bit about that. Kind of like a feedlot for fish, and it was pretty neat to learn. So anyway, we got home, did some schoolwork, and and then it was kind of just free time for the kids. My little room to read a book, and Gus, he went outside and he was working on the clubhouse. And there wasn't a latch on the door, and the wind blows that door open all the time. It kind of messes up the clubhouse. So he was looking for a way to make a latch for that door, but he wanted to do it Indian style. He wanted to do it the old way, how the Indians might do it. And he had some ideas that were not going to work, but I let him explain them to me because, you don't want to crush their dreams all at once. But I let him explain to me what his plan was, and then I let him know how that wasn't exactly going to work, but it was not a bad idea. It wasn't going to work. So, well, how about we try it this way? And then we did a little compromise. What we did is we took we had an eye bolt, a little bitty eye bolt, and we were going to make a little, just a little drop latch, one of those latches that looks shaped like a number 7, and it drops into another eye bolt, or in this, couldn't find another eye bolt, but turning into my dad, I've got a whole bunch of cans full of assorted fence staples and screws and nails and bolts and whatever. So we got a fence staple, pounded it into one side, stuck the eye bolt in the other, got a piece of smooth fencing wire, and the double strand. And we hooked it onto the eye bolt, made it work, and then I found some fence clips, and we adjusted it later on. But anyway, we had the fence wire part up there, and it was holding. It was to his satisfaction, but he didn't want to use a hammer to nail in the fence staple. He wanted to use it because that's how the Indians would have done it. Okay, so I got it started with my old trusty Lore Maker fence pliers, and then he pounded it the rest of the way in with his Indian rock, and it was a cool little moment. But he wanted to make it a little more Indian style, and he needed a feather to tie in there. And we got a whole bunch of chickens, a couple of roosters, and the roosters are all from Mexican Titan stock. I don't know exactly what breed, but they're all kind of game birds, but they're not prize winners. They're not prize fighters. They might be from the bloodline, but they ain't gonna win shit. So anyway, we got this one, we call him Meanie because he used to kind of puff up to the kids, and then he got whacked with a stick a couple times. We kind of leave him alone now, but Gus really don't like him. Anyway, he was saying he's going to go find a rooster feather, and I let him use the fence pliers, but hey, don't leave him outside. Because I left him outside, and now they're kind of hard to open, and I thought I had him kind of worked back in, and he come back to me and said, I can't get them open. They were kind of seized up, so we had to go oil them, and so I'll take care of that. And he said, okay, you need me? No, they're chasing a rooster. Okay. Thought that was the funniest thing I ever heard at the time. But it got better. So I went out, got some WD-40, sprayed those babies down, and it might have been PB Blast, or I don't know. Anyway, some sort of industrial lubricant, and sprayed them down. And I went outside, and I look over, and he's in one of our chicken coops, and he's got a rooster by the tail feather, and it's that Meanie rooster. And it's not just any tail feather, it's the longest tail feather that Rooster's got. And I said, you got it? He said, yeah, I'm working on it. Okay, so I went and did something else to come back, and he's tying that rooster's tail feather onto our new gate latch, and I was like, well, I try not to laugh while I said it to him, but I was like, you might just go ahead and maybe try to find a feather that's not attached to a rooster next time, or to a chicken either. Just maybe try to find one that's already on the ground. And he goes, yeah, there was a little tiny piece of meat on the end of this feather when I pulled it out. I couldn't hold it in. It's okay, well, next time you need a feather, find one that's on the ground. There's plenty of long rooster tail feathers on the ground that you can choose from. I know you hate that rooster, but you don't need to pull skin with the feather when you go get it. So, anyways, I got to find a couple more eye bolts so we can make some latches for the windows of that clubhouse. And yeah, so anyhow, I'm about back to the barn, and yeah, I think this will be your Wednesday morning episode. Tuesday afternoon if you're on the Patreon. But anyway, if you like it, let me know, and if you're not, let me know anyway. I'd be interested to see what you think. And anyway, kind of gets back to the old style of burning daylight. Doing a little horseback talking while I'm burning daylight. So, anyways, hope you all have a good week. Hopefully we got those rotten Aaron off the Fence Post Politics. If you haven't signed up for Patreon, I'd appreciate it if you did so. It's $5 a month. Starting to get ad-free episodes, you get some bonus content, and yeah, you help out the show. It's the best way to help out the show. Otherwise, you got to listen to a bunch of ads that I don't get to choose what are in that spot. But I got to pay the bills somehow. So, anyways, y'all have a good week. Keep your nose clean, your butt dry, and move your ass. Burning daylight.
Your eyes up in the morning, beneath the stars so bright. Pull your hat down, make sure your cinch is tight. Horse is kinda snuffy, cold chill up your spine. We'll get your ass moving, son, we're burning daylight. Burning daylight. Burning daylight. In the saddle till the job's done right. Just together, and you won't catch 'em all. But when you ride through the gate, make sure you sit up tall. I can see the horizon, it's looking pretty bright. We'll get your ass moving, son, we're burning daylight.